autism spectrum disorder, early intervention means coming in with some strategies and therapeutic intervention before some problems arise, or alternatively it means coming in and providing supports and strategies to target some developmental milestones that have not yet been reached by that child. So in essence, early intervention could be a reactive strategy in coming in after the problems have occurred, but it could also be a proactive strategy in that with autism spectrum disorder we know that the trajectory would say that there are certain problems that are going to eventuate as the child develops, and we would like to come in proactively and provide some strategies and intervention to teach them the skills before problems arise.
Why early intervention is important?
I think the first question to answer would be, what is early intervention? And so in the context of children with autism spectrum disorder, early intervention means one of two things. So if we start really early, we can actually come in and teach the child some necessary skills to prevent some challenges and problems from developing. But the other point of view of early intervention might be coming in more of a reactive sense, so that we've already identified some issues with regards to the child's development and some challenges in the child's functioning, and then we can come in and provide some intensive practice in those core skills in order to reduce the problem behaviours, reduce those challenges or the potential for them.
Okay, thank you. And we have a new book over here, and maybe you could present it a bit?
Yeah, so this was a book that I came across only about 12 months ago, and I wish I'd come across it sooner because it is really a fantastic publication. So the authors are from an early intervention partial hospitalization program in University of California, Los Angeles. And between them, they have a wealth of experience and knowledge in child development and the development of social and play behaviours for children with autism spectrum disorder. And so they've used those skills and that expertise to put together a curriculum for educators of young children. And actually what they found along the way is that it's not just beneficial to children with autism and developmental delays, but actually also very beneficial to typical children.
I think there is lots of information about some social behaviors and about why it's important to develop the skills. Can you comment a bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So for those of you who know anything about autism spectrum disorder, the one thing we know for sure is that there are deficits in social and communication skills. That's regardless of language ability, regardless of intellectual disability being present or not. All children with autism have problems with learning social behaviours and using social behaviours appropriately in society. So this book has created a curriculum which specifically targets social behaviours for children or for teachers to provide intervention and education to children on the autism spectrum disorder. And it's really effective program and really cleverly presented actually within this book. I think what they've done is taken some very broad social skills concepts such as, for example, sharing or turn-taking, such like that we all as educators are working on every day. What's clever about this book is it takes those broad concepts but it breaks them down into individual behaviour components that often some of us overlook. So I think that in providing such a detailed analysis of the lessons that we need to present to children with autism in their early education, it will really benefit teachers in providing a more accurate program that will target those broader skills, those big picture skills.
It sounds really great, but there is always some problems when you get new program to use it in the real life. So what are the obstacles of implementations?
Yeah, look, that's a really good question and a really good point to bring up. And I think what we need to do is respect the spectrum of autism. And so this particular book is designed more for children who might have some language abilities or social language that would fall between typical age range of about 3 to 7. So it is best suited to children who already have some attention skills, some language skills, maybe some basic communication skills. And so that might be one of the barriers that you would come across, is that you actually have a child who might not be functioning quite at that level yet, and that you might find that even the most basic lessons in here would not be suitable. But I think that's actually provides us with some really valuable information in saying that if we're not even ready to start at lesson 1 in this book, I think then we would be needing to address those in an individual education plan. Some of the other barriers might be a lack of adult support within the classroom. Some of the lessons in here do require additional adults, but I think if we can be clever about that and using the resources that are available, it shouldn't be an absolute barrier. And there are quite a number of lessons in there that don't require so many adults to support. I think some of the other barriers might be where the child doesn't have the language capacity, and in order to maybe help overcome that barrier, we could look at providing some visual supports maybe for the language, or again addressing maybe some of the lessons that are less language intensive.
Why it is so important to have like individual plan for each student with autism?
Yes, look, this is always at the center of everything we do for children with autism spectrum disorder, is the importance of individualizing. It's a broad spectrum. Each child with autism is different. In the words of Dr. Stephen Shore, he would say, if you know one child with autism, you know one child with autism. So whenever we're developing an education plan, we must look at the individual's presentation and level of functioning. So with regards to social behaviour, I think that where this book can really help guide teachers in individualised planning is looking at those behaviour components, the components of each of the skill, which are very clearly presented in the book. I think if the child isn't presenting with some of those skills, that would be a way of us individualizing their education. So this is a fantastic resource, and it will help a number of children and many teachers, but it's always under the condition of individualizing it to that child with autism.
Thank you so much, Isabella, for this short interview, and I hope I see you again.
You're welcome. I really hope that the education community here in Lithuania will value the opportunity to have such a high quality publication in their own language. I know that of all the barriers we discussed, the biggest is being able to find good quality resources in Lithuanian language so everybody can use them.
Sure.
So I hope it's
Thank
utilized.
you.
Thank you.